Hi, my name is Rachel Cursor of Enrich Your Life with Rachel. It's a mindset coaching business and a Reiki as well. And I also do mindfulness evenings. So welcome to my garden. I'm doing my first ever YouTube video. So please forgive me if it's pretty raw. So the purpose of doing this YouTube video is that I've recently have written my first blog for my website. My website is enrichyourlife.com.au, and the blog's about why at the age of 50 I've totally changed most things in my life, from my career, my health, and my weight, my spirituality. A lot of that is remembering or renewing where I had been, and it just explains the steps I took, which were probably like 4 long years of getting from where I was to where I am now. And I will share my website and my blog links in the information. So I guess what I want you to know is that no matter where you are in your life and your circumstances, that you can change. And it's just all you need to have is curiosity, an open heart, and the ability and the desire to ask the big why questions and to look deep within yourself and have that self-awareness. So I guess I'll start my journey with where I received a phone call from my doctor's surgery saying that they wanted me to come in immediately to see the doctor. So being a registered nurse with 30 years experience and working in community health, I sort of thought, oh dear, this isn't good. The day before, I'd had a blood test to check the cancer marker for ovarian cancer. And as I was getting investigated for something going on in my pelvic area. So I naturally added 2 + 2 and came up with 4, I guess, and like secretly hoping I came up with 5, but I actually did come up with the right number. So I went in to hear that awful news, like, I think you have ovarian cancer. And I just thought, oh my God, I'm 49. My 2 sons were only just in their teenage years. I was a dedicated wife, a dedicated mother, dedicated nurse, and my whole world just changed. So I guess fast forward 8 weeks. I'd had my surgery at Chris O'Brien Lighthouse, fantastic hospital. And I was sitting in my specialist room waiting for the results of the surgery. So I ended up having everything removed because I wanted everything out, even if one ovary was cancer free. I just didn't ever want to be back in this situation again, and it was my decision. I just I was premenopausal anyway, so what's it matter? So I did. I had everything removed, and it came back that I had no cancer cells in the pathology. So I was incredibly grateful and relieved, and I just know just how lucky I was. And I realized that this was the universe giving me my wake-up call in one big, huge shove. I think the universe had been providing me with little, come on, Rachel, wake up. But this was the big one, because I had got to a point where I was overweight. I was drinking way too much. And I realized that I was actually just numbing myself. I was numbing from dealing with, the stuff that was going on internally. I was a dedicated mother, dedicated wife, dedicated, we live on a property, dedicated farm wife, and doing everything for everyone, but nothing for me. So I guess I had to start the hard journey of recovering Rachel, finding out who Rachel was again, and recovering her. So that process involved a wonderful, it started pretty much straight after, well, I think it started just before the surgery. I just happened by chance come across a book that was being given away. It was The New Earth by Eckhart Tolle. And it just, something inside of me thought, oh, that looks good. I'll read that. I had heard of Eckhart Tolle. He wrote The Power of Now, which I hadn't read. But I had heard of him and knew he was a bit of a spiritual leader. And as I was very spiritual in my younger years, it just appealed. So I actually read the book, and it seemed to just get me started. And from that book, which is a fantastic book, highly recommended, I joined an online fitness program, because where I live out in the country, it's remote, and there's, you've got to travel to get to a gym, and it's just a bit harder than if you're in the city or lived in a country town. So I joined this online fitness group, which was good. But through that, I was introduced to two amazing women, and that is where I think my recovery of my health started. So I connected with my naturopath, Stacey, and we worked on all the symptoms of menopause that I was going through, because naturally when you have your uterus and your ovaries removed, I went into instant menopause, and my body was letting me know it through all the hormonal changes. So Stacey worked with me to get my, just to help me with that transition, as I didn't want to take anything artificial. I wanted to do it as natural as I could. So she is such a knowledgeable lady, and in my blog I share her details for her website if you're interested. And then I also got introduced to a lady called Tracy, who runs the Soul Pleaser to People Pleaser program. Oh my goodness. I listened to her, and she said how people numb themselves from feeling their emotions, and she listed some of the ways that people do that, and of course food and alcohol were too. And it just like this light bulb went off inside of me, and I thought, oh my God, that's what I do. I am numbing myself so I don't have to feel, and I don't have to deal with what was going on inside me. So within 24 hours, I had reached out to her and I had joined her program. And for the next 18 months to 2 years, I was in her program, and I really dived deep and worked on myself. And it took courage to be vulnerable and to be open and to be honest. And I worked with myself. I worked out why I was doing the things I was doing, what I was numbing, what I didn't want to recognize, I guess, and acknowledge. So I did that. I worked on it. And I can still remember 1 year after joining her program, being at her Soul Pleaser retreat. And I finally reconnected to my soul, my inner being, in a heart, mind, body. Like, I was connected, and I can remember the happy, like the tears and the laughter flowing all at once. It was the most amazing sensation, and I feel so grateful and humble for having that opportunity. So it's sort of the progress of it. It started to kick. I kept. It's like the book Darren Hardy, I think, The Compound Effect, like a little bit and a little bit, it adds up, and I finally was starting to get results, and I was starting to climb my mountain, and I could actually feel that I was getting where I needed to go. Slowly, I started losing a little bit of weight. It was a bit here and there, but the amazing thing is something clicked. And I just stopped drinking alcohol. It was like an instant, like I had been working on it for years. I think probably 10 years I've been trying to stop drinking alcohol or minimize. Like, how much I drank, or like I'd stop and then, you know, a couple of weeks later I'd have some more wine, or, you know, might be a few months I wouldn't have anything, then I'd go back to drinking every night. And it's just, I knew it wasn't helping me, and I knew it wasn't getting me to where I needed to go. And that was a big portion of why I joined the Soul Pleaser, was to be able to let that go. And really it's about giving myself what I needed that I thought the alcohol was giving me. And the alcohol, it's just all a lie. So I got to the point where it actually I started giving myself what I needed from myself, and the alcohol was no longer necessary. And just magically, after listening to the amazing Shanna Whan of Sober in the Country, something clicked in my brain and I just stopped. And that was the 30th of March, it's 2023, so a bit over 2 years now I've been alcohol free. I have had that odd little sip of champagne when I've been celebrating at, you know, toasting at a wedding, but I don't consider that really drinking alcohol, as you know, a sip here and there for a toast. So yeah, I just stopped drinking alcohol. It was amazing. And I still got cravings, and I still, you know, that 5 o'clock came and it was wine o'clock time, and I'd still have that feeling, oh, I need a glass of wine, or something happened. That always my go-to was, I'll have a glass of wine to relax. So it took quite a few months for that to go, but it now has. I probably can confidently say 95% of the time I never think about that drinking alcohol as my way of coping with life. And through that, I once the mind fog cleared of the alcohol, I started to notice my body, and I started to feel that foods were upsetting me, and they probably have for a long time, because I always had a lot of indigestion and bloat, and then I started wondering what that was all about. So I reached out again to Stacey, my naturopath, and said, I just think that maybe I could be intolerant to gluten, or something to do with gluten, because bread seemed to upset me. So we ended up doing blood work and working out, and it came back that I was highly intolerant to gluten, to dairy, and it was the protein, not the lactose, the proteins, and eggs, highly intolerant to eggs, which absolutely devastated me because I lived on eggs, and various other odds and ends, like I think tomato and one type of bean, not all beans, but one type of bean. So then followed me totally overhauling my diet, cutting out things for 6 months and then slowly reintroducing. And miraculously, after 1 year at my yearly checkup, I was intolerant to absolutely nothing. My gut had healed. I had lost, I think I'd lost 9 kilos by then, and I was feeling fantastic. And I don't know, I was learning about food. I'd never really thought much about food. I just ate meat and 3 veg. But now I started to really explore food and eating food, interesting food that I'd never eaten before, and it was great. I really had increased my diversity with my diet immensely. I was doing environmentally friendly, using cast iron cookware and minimising as much as I could plastics and all that. So it's been a real journey, and one I'm still on. I think I'll be forever on, because I'm constantly learning and relearning, and it's just experimenting, I guess. So I got to the point where my weight plateaued. I think I'd lost about 9-10 kilos, and I just had plateaued, and I just knew I needed a bit more connection. So I then reached out to a lady called Susie, and I joined her program, and she coached me. again, it's all in my blog on my website. And we, through that program, you know, it wasn't just about food, it was about, you know, walking, like the exercise, and then up just walking. And I rediscovered how much I love walking. I used to, in my 20s and 30s, I used to go hiking all the time, bushwalking, and I that was my way. I liked to exercise, but it was also my way of connecting with nature, because I absolutely love nature, which is why I'm doing this podcast in my garden. And so much of what I talk about is about nature and you know, just the natural intelligence of life. And that's why I'm sitting here in the garden. Anyway, I'm digressing. Back to Susie's. So yeah, I learned about losing weight and the remembering about exercise and how mindset. It's all connected. Everything's so connected. So with her help and the group of people that I had connected with, I lost my remaining weight. So I was 20 kilos down. I'm at my healthy weight range now, and I'm incredibly happy about that. And I think I am the healthiest I have ever been in my life. I'm so energetic. I'm walking. I achieved my goal at the end of last year. Like, was my reward, and my goal was to do a trek in the New Zealand mountains. So I did the Rootburn trek, a 3-day hike, which was just absolutely everything I'd hoped it would be. And I guess now, as my last coach to introduce, is Jane from Natural Intelligence Farming. She was a co-founder of that with the Hegartys from Western Australia. And it just happened again, like at Serendipity event. I was at a soil masterclass with Nicole Masters. She wrote the books For the Love of Soil. So I don't think I mentioned that my husband and I were regen farmers, and it's, you know, the coincidences is like we're all about our soil health and being and working with our land as natural as we can. And the human gut is all about being as natural and diverse as we can, and they're so linked, soil and gut. It's amazing. So I was at this workshop, and Jane Slatery just happened to be there, and she really interested me because she, like I said, was co-founder of Natural Intelligence Farming. And I thought, I want to connect with her. I want to learn how to use natural intelligence, because I love nature so much, with our regen farming. So I connected with her, and she was happy to work with me. And on our first phone call, which went for over 2 hours, we never once, well, we might have maybe, but I can't remember. We never really touched on natural intelligence farming. All we talked about was my fear. And she saw so clearly that I still had so much fear within me. And that's, for the next year, we worked on my fear and acknowledging that and releasing that fear. And it's been amazing, like life-changing. And through working with all my 4 coaches, I finally accepted who I am and what I am, and that personal development mindset, you know, is what lights me up. And I feel so amazing, and I know it works because I know where I was to where I am now. And that's why I want to be a coach. I want people to be able to be as happy and joyful as I am, and as content and as self-aware, and the ability to self-regulate. And so I looked into coaching, and I kept hearing about NLP, and that's why I ended up going down the NLP and timeline therapy road for my coaching, and I do not regret it at all. That's been amazing, and I think that can be a whole nother blog and YouTube video, so I'm not going to talk about that here. However, I just want to thank you for, if you're still listening, thank you for listening to this. And look at my blog. It's good. It's got links to my coaches, and I just, if you can get something out of this video, then I'm very happy. And if you want to reach out and work with me, then it's all on my website. And I just am honoured that you're here with me in my garden, which I love. And I have my dogs lying at my feet, but you can't see them. And I wish you all the best, and thank you.